All right, welcome back to the IMNerd podcast, guys. I'm your host, Freyway, and I'm here with my co-host, Kenny.
Once again, allegedly.
And today we have a special guest and a friend of mine, also my team member on Ring of Destruction, Cameron Saunders. You guys all probably know him. You're well acquainted with one of the masters of Edison format. He has several tops with all types of different decks. And recently, me and him have been doing a lot of YouTube content together this year. It's been really fun. So, Cam, why don't you say hello to everyone on stream and stuff?
Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Cameron. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, all right, I want to talk about off the bat, like, how did you even get into Yu-Gi-Oh? Where did it start? How did you get the virus?
So I got my first cards when I was like 8 years old.
Damn.
And I just thought they were like so cool because I watched the first season anime as a kid, and I was like, Mom, I gotta have some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Everyone else has them. They're so cool. So I'm like, so obviously, all the kids around me are into it. I'm gonna get into it. And so I got some cards, and I was like 8, so nothing really came of it. And Synchros came out like 3 years later, and I was like completely unable to even comprehend what a Synchro monster was.
Yeah.
And so, I'm like 11 or 12 years old. It doesn't really matter to me. I just like kind of put it down. I didn't care. I get into high school. This is like late 2013. Is like my junior year or something. And my friends just pull up with Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And they're like, hey man, you want to play with us? I'm like, dude, I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh in forever. And
how old are you at this point? 11?
No, I was like 15 at this point. Yeah.
So real quick, because I don't think a lot of people know how old you actually are. If you don't mind saying,
I'm 26.
You're 26. Okay, so you're much younger than me and Kenny. So
yeah. I just want to say, when you said I got my first cards when I was like 8, and then 3 years later Synchros came out, I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, I was trying to do the math because I remember how old I was and how old Kenny was when Synchros came out. But that's a very, I was an adult basically. Like I was damn near an adult. Yeah, you're like you're way younger than me.
When Synchros came out, we couldn't legally be your friend.
Yeah, weird. I always feel like I'm super old around other people who play Yu-Gi-Oh because like when you like in advanced, you have like this huge age range where obviously there are people who've been playing a long time and they're in their 30s, but like a lot of your peers in advanced format are also like literally in their teens. Like they were born at a time they were born after I got my first cards, and it's crazy.
Yeah, that is a wild concept to think about. People who were born after Xyz came out, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're competitive players right now. Like that one kid, Charlie Butch or something like that. I think that's his last name. He tops a lot of YCSs, and like he tries to. I think he actually won Dragon Duel Worlds. I'm pretty sure he's won Dragon Duel Worlds, but he is a kid, like an actual kid to me. And he was probably born after I got my first top or some crazy nonsense like that.
Yeah.
Like just some crazy stats.
I don't think that should be allowed.
Yeah,
I think the world was good. Like we should have stopped letting people be born.
Yeah. Somebody said some people are younger than Yu-Gi-Oh themselves. Like they are younger than the game. Yeah. And right, Yu-Gi-Oh's what, 21, 22 years old in the United States? So North America. So the game is an adult. The game definitely had its 20th anniversary. The game is an adult for sure, but there are people who play it now who are younger. Even at my locals, like there's kids that I play who play Edison and Modern, and they switch back and forth. But there's one kid I play like almost every week, and it's just kind of funny because I always wonder, like he knows me and he knows of me. I don't know how though, because there's no way I don't think he was alive. Again, I don't think he was alive. Like I don't think he was alive when I won YCS Atlanta. I'm not even kidding. I think he's that young. But it's so funny because he's like, oh man, I gotta play Frazier again. And then, like, I don't know if it's because I beat him every time that he has this.
Yeah, he probably just knows you like from the store.
Yeah.
He doesn't know you. Like I don't know because I don't play Modern. The way like the old heads know you.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny to think about. But anyway, back to you, Cam. So you're like 15, and your friends are asking you to play Yu-Gi-Oh again, and you're like, I haven't played that game in forever.
Yeah. And it really showed because like I didn't know anything about like competitive stuff at all. We had like the worst decks like known to man. Like
what year do you think this is? Because my whole life is chronological order based on Yu-Gi-Oh format, so I know every single year based on what Yu-Gi-Oh format it was.
This is like late 2013, so everyone competitive was playing Dragon Rulers.
Yep.
And I'm like setting Apprentice Magician.
Yeah, so you guys were far behind. Damn.
Yeah. So then I learned about Dueling Network, and
damn, Network was still out in 2013.
Yeah.
Okay, I forget when Network went down.
It was like late 2000, like early 2016, really.
Okay. I stopped playing on Dueling Network for a long ass time, so that I don't know when that shit actually went away. But yeah, okay. So you guys got on Dueling Network.
Yeah, and that's when I learned about Dragon Rulers, and I was like, "What is going on?
Yeah.
What is happening? Like these guys are summoning monsters that should not ever have touched the field. Like it was ridiculous."
Kenny, you remember Dragon Rulers?
I know. I came back and played a little bit in that format.
Yeah, Kenny made a return in Dragon Ruler format because the Blue Eyes was competitive in that format. Like you could play a version of Dragon Rulers that played Whitestone, Cards of Consonance, Trade-in. I'm pretty sure I topped with that. And that was a really fun deck. It probably was inferior to just playing the one that plays like Trigon, I think it's called, and just makes Ancient Fairy Dragon and pops Ravine and searches and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's like the optimal build. Like in hindsight,
that was the optimal build. But I always like playing the fun shit. It's Blue Eyes, and I think so. Blue Eyes, what's it called? The one that the synchro that's in defense mode and it brings back a guy.
Is that Azure Dragon?
Maybe?
Yeah, Azure Spirit.
So I wanted to play that card so bad that I didn't care if my deck was necessarily inferior or whatever. I was like, I just want to play Blue Eyes Azure Dragon.
Yeah.
And yeah, because that guy's like, he comes out and all your guys can't be targeted or destroyed or something like that by card effects.
Isn't his stats reversed? Or is
they are
top
3,000.
Yeah,
he's cool. This is a cool looking card too. And in a mirror match, it's hard to deal with that because we already can't deal with Redox. So if you think about it, you summon Redox in defense mode. If your opponent is stupid, they max C. Same thing with Azure Dragons. Like if you have Azure Dragon out, you can't be Crimson Blader, which was like the whole format is dodging Crimson Blader. Like just don't let yourself get Crimson Bladered. But Azure Dragon was cool because 3,000 defense, which is harder to kill than 3,000 attack. And then he brings back Blue Eyes, which is another monster that can't be beat by Crimson Blader. So in theory, the deck did have some strong points, but it was also inconsistent because you are playing Blue Eyes and Whitestone and they're not the best cards to draw or whatever. But anyway, so you said you found
the worst part. The worst part is like the Tridon build has debris, so it just makes Star Eater and runs over everything you do anyway.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. Star Eater was like 3,200 attack, and then you can't
negate it summon, you can't mirror force it, you can't like
so once he attacks, it's just going. It's Ancient Gear Gajillatron Dragon basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so you found out about Dragon Rulers, which had to be eye-opening as hell because the game you were playing before that was nothing like Dragon Ruler format.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. But yeah, once I learned about Dueling Network, I like started playing real decks. Like I learned how to use like Fire Fist and Mermail and stuff. And so I would say probably around Hat format is when I started getting competitive in the game and like really learning it. So I usually tell people I started playing in 2014 because like it's kind of disingenuous to be like, oh, I started playing in 2005. I'm a GOAT format player.
Right.
I had a DB1 Jinzo that got stolen from me in 3rd grade, and that was it.
Hey man, that's part of the Yu-Gi-Oh journey.
Why
that's part of it. That is part of
Yu-Gi-Oh. Because Jinzo was that fucking card. Jinzo was that card.
If you've heard this podcast before, you've probably heard me talk about the time that I packed a secret rare first edition Jinzo. Is pretty much the first thing that I ever packed.
I just want to say real quick, I'm sorry. Fraser is Netero right now. His fucking his hand was like after imaging. It was awesome.
It's kind of cool looking, right? But no, I had a Jinzo first edition secret rare from Feral Servant, which was, and this is going to age me, but this was the pack of Yu-Gi-Oh that was currently the newest at the time was Feral Servant. And so I'll never forget, this one kid from my school wanted me to trade him my Jinzo. And at the time I was like, no, I kind of like my card a lot. But then he showed me Thousand Eyes Restrict. And I love Pegasus, okay? I didn't know anything about rarity. So Thousand Eyes Restrict was an ultra rare. And Feral Servant Jinzo was obviously secret rare and it was first edition. So even back then it was worth a good amount of money, not where it is now. Like now it's like $500+ for a first edition secret rare Jinzo. Like it's
what was it, like 60 or 70? You couldn't be.
Yeah, it was expensive for a kid though, like for our age. Right? Yeah. This was I think 8th grade for me. So it was expensive for a kid.
Telling your mom or dad, like, hey, can I have $60 to buy this piece of shiny cardboard?
You sound crazy. Like even now, I feel like that almost sounds a bit crazy to be like, "Hey, can I get $60?" Like if I had a kid, I would get it because I played Yu-Gi-Oh, and if they asked me for a crazy amount, even if they were like, "Yo, I need $500 for a playset of this spell card," that's like a staple. I understand that. Like I get it. But like triple tactics talent, I need it.
Like a normal parent, like if they're spending $60, they think they're getting you like a box of cards. Like you're getting 400 cards. They're like 60 for one card.
They're like, "What'd you get?" And I just showed 3 cards.
You better go mow the lawn.
Like Tour Guide was $150 a piece at a point, and I remember play sets were going for a deal was like $420. Like if you got $420, that was great. Kenny, what the hell did you just do? Yeah, I said you minimized the stream for a second.
Oh, that's weird. Anyway, no,
we're
here.
Okay, I'm about to say that. Don't do that. I don't know what that was. But yeah, no. So back then I got juiced really bad. That was my first time ever getting juiced. Like I got destroyed by the fact that somebody traded me a card from the show that I saw Pegasus play with, which was $1,000 restrict, for my Genzo. And then I ended up having to settle for Tenzo, which did not take too long to come out, if I'm not mistaken. Like Genzo and Tenzo came out relatively close to each other.
Yeah.
And then once I got Tenzo, you know, I had to deal with the being teased about it because some people still had the real thing, and you could tell.
I remember people trying to do that to me, make fun of Tenzo. I was like, does he turn all your traps off or not? Are your traps like I summon Jinzo, they go, oh, that's not even a real Jinzo. I go, are your traps on? Like, can you play your traps? No? Okay. Fuck do I care?
Are your traps on is great. Are your traps on? Yeah, no, that's amazing. So all right. So you started kind of like 2014. Now, when I think about 2014, I think about a couple things. I think about the format that has Shadal.
Oh yeah,
it had Necroz. It had Constellar, or not Satellar Knight. Satellar Knight and Burning Abyss was 2014. Also, I feel like 2014 has what's that ignorant pendulum? That's the first pendulum deck too. Cleafort.
Yeah, Cleafort. Yeah,
and it has Hat, Fat Cat, Gat, Sylvans. Water,
yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like most of the time when you look at Yu-Gi-Oh, like if you look at two Yu-Gi-Oh formats in the same year, they have like a different ban list, but it's pretty similar. Like a new deck might come out to be like, you know, better than the previous ones, and like that's not uncommon. Yeah. But like 2014 is like a very easily divided year. Like,
yes, there's a lot of formats.
Yeah, on the one hand, you know, you have the Sylvans, a Hat, Mermail, whatever, but then one set comes out, they are unplayable. Yep. And it's all new decks after that.
For me, that was the year of Infernity. Every tournament I topped, I literally lost to Infernity. It was the weirdest thing. Like, no matter what, I just would lose. I lost to Sahabi, who ended up winning Worlds that year in the top cut of Nationals. So 2014 Nationals, I play Fat, which is Fire Fist, Artifact, Trap Tricks. And I topped that tournament. I play Sahabi, and he rips a Infernity Archfiend off the top when I have complete control of the game, basically.
Anime protagonist.
Yeah, anime protagonist. And then he wins. Then he gets top 6, goes to Worlds, wins Worlds. Crazy. And then after that, I'm pretty sure he wins the ARG, like 20K or whatever that year. There was some crazy ARG tournament, and I feel like he won that too. It was a wild time to be an Infernity player. And then he ended up getting banned, which was so random. But yeah, 2014 was a wild.
For whatever
ride.
Reason, that still sounds like it tracks with being an Infernity player. Getting banned,
yeah,
it just sounds like sounds like it lines up.
Well, no one believes you when you draw your Infernity Archfiend off the top. They always think that you did something.
They also think you set monsters. Did you set monsters back there in your spell and trap zone? Did you
set monsters in the spell and trap? That was the classic. People who set monsters in the spell and trap card zone. Yeah, that was a big deal. There was a YCS where they had to make a ruling. And the head judge announced before round 1 that if you combo off with Infernity, do not scoop to your opponent if they beat you with Infernity until they reveal their back row. Mm-hmm. That was the official rule that a head judge said literally at a YCS. I'll never forget that. That was wild.
That's awesome.
And it makes sense. Because people will scoop. Like if you set Dark Greffer, set Armageddon Knight, and just went off, and they're in the back row, like no one's going to, technically no one knows. So that was just, I'm glad that Konami knew that was happening. Like I'm glad that that wasn't lost on them, and they made that an official thing. I'm using the word official loosely, but it was for that event. You had to reveal your actual spells and traps before the game was concluded if you used Infernity, and I've never seen them do anything like that before. So that's pretty. Artifact Greffer. Somebody said Artifact Greffer. Artifact Greffer is nuts. Imagine in the middle of the combo, you just go, I'm a MST your back row, and it's Greffer. Like, it's just straight up Greffer. That's great. Yeah, I love that. Artifact Greffer.
That had to have happened, right? Like in all of the duels, someone had to have gotten their whatever card MST, and then they're like, because
what do you do, right?
They point to the other one. They go, this one, right? Like, no, the one to your right. Like this one?
Like, no.
And then they switch them.
Know which
like,
one I want.
One, right?
Yeah. Hydro said MST scoop. Because that's probably what happens. If you MST their monster in the back row, they probably
they
just scoop the game.
They have to.
Yeah. They try to mind.
And then you go, what was your back row? And they go, it was.
I had nothing.
It was my solemn.
Yeah. I had nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything. It's like, oh, you were doing full combo though. I didn't have a tuner. I don't know.
I drew both beetles.
Yeah, I drew every pack their shit up and leave. They get the fuck out of there so quick. Oh man, Yu-Gi-Oh has a crazy history. But okay, so back to 2014. So this is like your first real year of Yu-Gi-Oh. Obviously, you played when you were 8, but that's not real. We all had that.
Yeah.
Our first format, technically, for everybody, is not a real format. It's just kind of like,
hey man,
you're messing around with cards. You don't.
My first format was real.
Was it?
Well, I mean, that was the real format at the time.
Okay, I summoned Blue Eyes from my hand without tributing. That was my first time playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Hitatsumi Giant was the guy, you know?
Yes.
Like,
Stone.
There's a point in Yu-Gi-Oh when all you had was like fucking Seto Kaiba and Yugi. That's what Yu-Gi-Oh was.
Yeah. What were we about to say?
I played a deck that had 3 card destruction and 3 heavy storm in it to summon Mega Rock Dragon. So I don't think I was playing some real Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, that's wow. Also 3 card destruction. That was, I don't know if that was ever a thing outside of the very first format.
Not even that format only has 2.
What?
Yeah.
So they knew card destruction was just that girl from the beginning.
I remember, I've told the story before, but when I used to think the side deck was a 15 card side deck that you put on the side of your deck.
Same.
And at the start of your turn, you could choose which deck to draw from. So like you would put all your really good cards and those 15 cards. And then like you would draw, like when you need a good card, you would draw from there. Like, all right, like can I get one of my good ones? Like that was like your heart of the cards deck.
I agree. The side deck, me and my friends literally played where it was a 15 card deck of cards that you just chose that you wanted to really draw in a tight spot. And we had like a rule because we realized that the side deck thing was too strong. So we had a rule where you couldn't draw from your side deck back to back.
Yeah.
You had to like take multiple turns off from it. So just because obviously if that was the case, you would just draw from your side deck every turn and just have busted card after busted card after busted card. But we did draw from our side deck in the middle of the game. That was an actual thing that we did. And it's crazy that multiple people live that same life.
Yeah, man.
So Cam, what's your like first competitive deck in 2014? Like what's the first real deck that you had? There's so many in that year.
Yeah, I think Mermail.
Okay.
It's just kind of funny, like literally just starting Yu-Gi-Oh! Instantly throwing myself into like the more complicated deck of the format. But
yeah, that was wild.
But I saw someone post a list and I was like, well, these guys look cool. So I decided to play them.
They came out in 2012, which is crazy because they were still relevant for several years after 2012.
Yeah, because we over-designed them. They were like, oh, well, if this card stops Mermails, well, we'll print them a card that doesn't. It doesn't lose to it. And it's like, oh, one thing that's always bothered me as a judge, especially, is that, okay, so like, for example, if you like brain control Spirit Reaper and your opponent negates your activation, Spirit Reaper won't die because it never activated. Right? But if you summon Abyss Pike and discard Dragoons, if you Divine Wrath the Abyss Pike, the activation was negated, but Dragoon still activates.
Yeah,
and it's always bothered me because
Yu-Gi-Oh's inconsistencies, right?
And yeah, and it's like that never mattered until Mermails came out. Is the thing, like they never had that kind of interaction. Those effects didn't happen until Mermails came out, and they just were like, yeah, we want Mermails to be good, so the Dragoon still activates. That's literally what it was.
I mean, they got to sell product at the end of the day. They knew what they were doing because that deck, when it came out, Megalo was outrageously expensive. I think when he first came out in 2012, he was over 100. Then he dropped down to like $70, and he hovered around 70 for a very long time each. And then Abyss 2s came out at some point, and that deck was just wildly expensive.
I distinctly remember in 2014 looking up on TCG Player to buy Mermails and seeing that Abyss Megalo wasn't even a 3 of anymore, but it was still over $100.
Damn, yeah, that's bad.
And I was
the crazy thing is, the deck took a hiatus in 2013 because Dragon Rollers came out and it was unplayable in that format. So it's weird how it went from the best deck one of the best decks in 2012. 2013 takes a year off. 2014 it comes back and starts winning events again because Gear Gia was one of the best decks of the year, and Gear Gia gets shit on by Mermails because they set monsters, and you're just like, discard Mermail, or not Mermail, Abyss Landian, Marksman, who pops set cards. So turn 1, literally you go set armor, set some number of back row, and if you can't stop Marksman from resolving, you just lose your initiative and the game starts to fall apart. But yeah, Water was a good deck. Definitely one of the more complicated, but the biggest abomination from 2012 is Abyss Dweller, right? That card stayed around and still
that card still runs some formats.
Yes, it literally runs formats to this day. Like Abyss Dweller is still outrageous.
Abyss Dweller was another one of those cards. So getting back in 2014, I'm only like 16 or 17 years old. I can't afford cards myself. So I didn't. So any of the decks I was playing on Don't Organ and owned. The only decks I owned in person were I owned some Gladiator Beast cards, and
you found them in a trash can.
I think my friend had them, and I like bought them off of them, and then I bought like Gazars and Heraclinos online or something, and I was like, okay, yeah.
There's no way Glad Beasts were playable back then.
I mean, they're not playable, but they're not like the worst. They have Tinky and stuff. You can but yeah, so I didn't really own cards until like mid 2016 when I like really started like having my own money and also caring. And so there's a funny story around Necroz format. Like Necroz had just come out. And you know how like they split that set up into like they put like 3 or 4 Necroz cards into the core set, and then they released the next one that was like all Necroz cards, and they were all short printed, and they were all $1,000, and no one was allowed to have the deck. So I go to locals for the only time that format, actually. The only time I went to locals that format, I only had my Gladiator Beast deck on me, and the guy had just purchased full power Necroz. I'm talking like Brio at 3, Jin is legal, Prep at 3. Like, he just purchased the deck, full power, sleeved it up, and I asked if he wanted to play. So he's like, yeah, sure, that's fine. So I'm playing Gladiator Beast. I go and I summon Heraclinos instead of Chariot, and I win game 1. And he's like, all right, you got me, cool. So we go to game 2, and the exact same thing happens. And so I'm playing Glad. I 2-0 this guy with his fresh Necroz deck. And then he's like, he asked me for a rematch. I'm like, no, man, sorry, my mom's here. I gotta go. And like, I just ruined that whole man's like. I bet he sold that deck 10 minutes later.
That's awesome.
That's so bad.
That's awesome. Hit him with the wait. Okay, now I also have to know: was he like older than you by a good amount? Oh,
he was like
that.
Yeah, it was like probably 30.
Bust this old head's ass and then tell him my mom's here.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So it wasn't until like probably around early 2006, like when they started releasing the structure decks, like the Draco or the Perform Pal structure deck or the Magicians. That's what it was. The Magician structure deck.
One of my favorite formats, but only because I got 3rd place at YCS Atlanta that year. I almost won 2 YCS Atlantas, and that format is not healthy at all.
No,
but like I love the feeling of comboing off with that deck and just knowing that you won the duel, because I played the one with Ariadne and it had like the counter traps.
Mm-hmm.
So once I comboed off, it was game 1,000, 1,000,000%, because I just have like strike,
and then also your whole board full of monsters.
Yeah, I'd have Trap Tricks Rafflesia. I think that was her name, the Xyz.
Yeah.
And then I also have what's the guy? Cyber Dragon Infinity that negates anything. And then I also have like 5 or 6 cards in hand. So it was just absolutely unhinged. I would literally, after I comboed off, I would play so ignorantly. My opponent would do anything, I'd just be like, strike, do something else, strike. I don't even care what you're doing. I'm not even considering like, maybe I don't need to strike that. I can just let that go. Like, nope, I'm just gonna strike it so that you scoop. Like, just let's not waste time.
When you have all those cards left in hand after your combo's done, you don't even care anymore. You're like okay, break my board. You're not going to kill me, and I'm just going to do it again. You just strike and fend to your fleas. You the first thing. They're left with like what, 2 cards? What are they going to do?
Also, now that you said that, so you were around in 2016, but there's no way in the world you had the money necessary to afford that deck, right? Like that deck was expensive as hell.
No, that was
it was bad.
That was a Summon Vanity's Fiend pass format.
Yes. Also, so actual Monarch, Domain Monarchs was a deck. And luckily, it wasn't on the same level as Pepe, but it did have one good matchup in the format, which was Cosmo. And at YCS Atlanta 2016, the one that we're talking about, there were 29 Performer Pile decks in Top Cut. 29. There was one Cosmo.
I remember the numbers. It was
29, one Cosmo, and 2 Monarchs made it. So you could theoretically lose to a Monarch player if they went first and they opened up Domain and you just had nothing to. I main deck Twin Twister in my deck because Twin Twister just came out, actually. That card is insane. Could you imagine Twin Twister in an older format?
It's just 3 more heavy storms because of the way we play around it.
It really is 3 more heavy. Yeah, that card, when it came out, it really changed Yu-Gi-Oh! Forever. I feel like Twin Twister comes out in 2016, and a lot of the cards from that set get like banned, or they did the emergency ban list for that, right? Like Monkey Board got roofed and a bunch of cards got hit to 1 and stuff. They made the deck basically unplayable. But then Twin Twister, Solemn Strike were still mainstays for a long time. And Twin Twister with Burning Abyss, like later on, just ended up being so crazy because of the fact that they all are graveyard effects.
Yeah.
So just
do you remember the Burning Abyss Monarch deck?
Yes, that was my favorite deck of 2016. Of all of the entire year, that is my favorite deck. Kenny's laughing at me still doing Netero stuff.
I can't help it. Like the most Listen, all right. For me, the most entertaining thing right now is just watching Frazier. Like every time, like right now, Frazier's hiding behind his own chair. Like he's fucking awesome.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Mirror dimension. Just do anything. I'm all powerful here. Look at that. I'm Manju of 10,000 hands. Manju of 10,000 hands.
This is gonna crash someone's computer. Like somebody watching this on like a shit computer, like it'll just fucking crash their computer.
This is so good. Okay, what were we even talking about? We were talking about 2016. Oh, Twin Twister, and you said Burning Abyss, Monarchs. That was my favorite deck of the whole year because I felt like the number of plays you could do were infinite. Beatrice, Aether, plus Monarch Storm 4. What's the Dark Monarch guy's name? The Erebus. Erebus was insane. You could discard cards to bring him back to your hand, so you always had a Monarch. It solves that problem. It's like Swap Frog, but overpowered. Everything about that deck was overpowered. I love that. Like
that deck was. I still have that deck built. I still fit together.
Yeah, I love Domain Monarch, and then it won nationals that year. Domain Monarchs actually won nationals.
I mean, it's kind of funny because like you look at like Pepe from 3 or 4 months earlier, and it's literally in the like 4 digits to buy the deck as in full, and like you see how dominant it was, and then Eric Christensen pulls up to Nats for $30 deck and is like, "Hey guys."
Yep, really really powerful deck. Yeah, I didn't realize that Domain Monarchs was broken until way after it had already been discovered by everyone. So I was playing Cosmo that year. I think that I got snake charmed a little bit by McCabe because McCabe is an amazing deck builder. He came up with the Cosmo Card of Demise deck, and we both top YCS Providence that year with Cosmo Card of Demise, and then everybody was talking about Card of Demise and like that whole thing. But the problem is Cosmo naturally couldn't beat Monarchs. It super couldn't beat Monarchs once you added the fact that Card of Demise prevents you from special summoning and stuff. Like I think it prevents you from special summoning. But the deck was good because you set up, summon 10 cannons, set 5 or set 4, then activate Card of Demise, and then you draw, and in end phase you like do your whole thing. But at the same time, it just, I don't know, it never panned out against the Monarch matchup. I ended up getting eliminated by Monarchs in Top Cut. He just basically.
A big issue was that like your best card, Art Destroyer, can't be targeted, but Stormforth doesn't target, and Erebus doesn't target.
Yeah,
and
really,
like
really bad.
That was a format where I think people still kind of have like this kind of bias against targeting cards because like there are still cards that can't be targeted, but like that was a format where like people were really like, oh, this card targets, it's awful.
Yes.
Like, and it's not even necessarily true because there are only ever like a few cards at a time that just can't be targeted. But when it's something like Dark Destroyer, that's a bit of an issue. And like even today, I feel like it's pretty much just Dragoon, right? And that card's not even popular.
It's not popular. It's not really played. I don't think Dragoon's played anymore, which is crazy because you read that card, it reads as one of the absolute best Yu-Gi-Oh cards of all time. Like, not even kidding. It says, can't be targeted, can't be destroyed by card effects. Pop up to 2 guys on your opponent's side of the field, and then they take Ring of Destruction, and they take Ring of Destruction for each. He does negate a card, and he gains 1,000 attack. It sounds like somebody went to Yu-Gi-Oh card maker and just started typing.
Yeah,
so I just started typing.
I mean, I guess you got to make your deck too inconsistent to run them, I guess.
Yeah, which is so annoying because I really like that card. In fact, I returned to Yu-Gi-Oh! Kinda. I wasn't playing, but I went back to locals for the first time in years. It was in 2021, I want to say. And at the time, Dragoon was playable. It was actually one of the best cards in the format. A lot of people had built their decks to deal with Dragoon because he was that insane. And I thought that he was going to be around until they got rid of him. I thought that Konami would have to get rid of Dragoon in order for him to not be played anymore. I never thought that he would get power crept out of the format. Never.
It wasn't so much Dragoon losing his power. It was the fact that like once they banned Verde Anaconda, you had to play 3 with fusions and hard draw it instead of just play 1 and be able to make it with 2 effect monsters.
But do you remember that he already was getting phased out?
Because
Phoenix Enforcer came out.
Yeah, Phoenix Enforcer.
Destroy Phoenix Enforcer came out. And once he came out, Dragoon just became second fiddle, which is crazy because, okay, if you asked me a while ago to read both of these cards, which one do I think is better? I would think by reading both of the cards that Dragoon is the better card overall.
Yeah.
But then
Right.
because like Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer doesn't have nearly as many effects. It just has like, oh, I pop card on my field, pop card on your field, and I come back every turn. And Dragoon just has 18 effects on it. Plus, it gets 4,000 attack and it's permanent. Then it goes to 5,000 attack. And it's like, oh yeah, I definitely pick. And it also looks cooler in my opinion too. I think Dragoon just looks insane.
I feel like it's just like you got to consider like like Dragoon has destruction immunity, but I mean so does Destroyer.
Destroyer Phoenix, yeah, in a weird way.
And then like the interaction that Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer has is more like lenient.
Yeah.
Like you can just fire it off like whenever you need to, and he goes to the grave where he's safer. Like,
and it also complements other cards like Artifact Sanctum and Scythe and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you can do the what's the link monster the artifacts have? Dagda.
Dagda, yeah.
Yeah, you can like set the Scythe from your deck and then summon your Phoenix Enforcer, and they start their turn and you just pop your Scythe, and it's like, okay. Have fun.
Alex the man said Dragoon does super well into DPE, and that was the funny part. So like I guess he's saying that against DPE, Dragoon is actually pretty good. The important thing to consider is DPE equals draw 2 in the future. Yes, that was the other thing. So, and this is what I said initially was power creep. Like Dragoon is broken, but then DPE, you send Celestial to the grave, the Destiny Hero
you actually
Celestial,
get value from it.
And you actually get a draw 2 in the middle of the game, which is fucking unheard of. Like that is so dumb that you get the Pot of Greed with also having DPE access. Yeah, but this commander doesn't pop a card every turn.
Well, yes, it's this commander 30 years later.
It really is, though. It really is. Remember this commander? This is him now. There's just a picture of Celestial and DPE together. Yeah, it is a wild time. I always ask this question though. If you could bring a card to Edison format from Modern, and you get 3 copies of it, if you could bring any card from Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, so up to literally today's date, you could bring 3 copies of it into Edison format, what would it be for you?
Oh man,
it could be anything. I don't care what it is, as long as it's a Modern legal card right now. You can bring 3 copies of it into Edison. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here. It's hard, right?
Yeah, because like
take some time, think about it.
All right, so while you're thinking about it, I'll
I know what it is actually. Diamond Core of Kowakimaru.
Diamond Core Kowakimaru. That's the one. What does that card do? I don't know what that card does.
Let me look it up. It's like Rhoda for Kowakimarus, but
Diamond Core.
Yeah. Okay. So it says add 1 Kowakimaru card from your deck to your hand, except Diamond Core, and then it says you can banish this card from your graveyard for the rest of this turn. Kowakimaru monsters you control cannot be destroyed. So you don't even have to pay for in-phase costs anymore because they can't be destroyed by anything.
Oh, this card is insane. It's a Rhoda on crack for the deck.
Yeah.
So you're very nice. What you want to bring into the format is just very fair.
You just want to make like
I'm not trying to like ruin everyone's day like you seem to be.
Well, I'm problematic, So my Diamond Core that's a great one, Cam, because that will not ruin the format. That'll just make Kowakimaru an S tier deck.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it will make it an S tier deck, but like I don't think that it will not be the end of Edison format.
Yeah.
I always said that it would be either between Fenrir, the new Fenrir card, Cashier Fenrir, which is like one of the best cards of all. I know, right? That's like terrible. And the other one, and this is the one that I really like, Dragoon. I would actually bring Dragoon.
You would bring Dragoon so that people can just poly their Dark Magician and their Red Eyes and like sometimes win the game up.
My whole deck would just be Prisma.deck, like 3 equal Rhoda, 3 Prisma, and King of the Swamp, and polymerizations. And my whole goal would be to summon Dragoon, because in Edison format, you got Volcanic Queen, I think that's her name. You got like Volcanic Queen, and you got Lava Golem. There aren't many ways to out a Dragoon in the entire format, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you get it off the field in that format without Volcanic Queen, Lava Golem. I'm trying to think about the outs. There are not many outs in the format to deal with Dragoon, though. So once he's on the field, granted, I mean, I am going to go neg to summon it because, like, I'm fusing with real material. Like, I'll play 3 Red Eyes, 3 Dark Magicians, 6 Prismas, 7 Prismas, the whole deal. It'll be a neg to summon it, but, like, once I get it on the field, what do you do? Like, what do you even do?
Lose.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I like your answer a lot. You have a very, very modest answer for what you would bring in an Edison format at 3. And that Diamond Core of Kowakimaru. Yeah. Okay, that was a good one. So I want to ask you a question. You brought up this earlier in passing, but you mentioned being a judge. How did that happen? Were you a judge in real Yu-Gi-Oh, like real life Yu-Gi-Oh, or just?
No, I became a judge on Daily Network before I was actually certified in person. I just
have a natural interest in adjudicating, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I saw that they wanted judges, and I was like, well, I'm terrible at playing, so I guess I can try judging.
That's very, very honest. We all had that period where we were ass.
Yeah, and so I was like, so this was like January 2015. I've been on Dueling Network for about a year.
Yeah.
And I just took the exam, and the passing score was 16 out of 20, and I was like really confident in like 15, and then I get to the last question, and I just had to guess, and I was like, oh Jesus, like this is like, and I get it right, I get 16 out of 20, they hire me, and there's some rough times throughout the judging career for Dueling Network. I was a kid, so I was like kind of immature, and we would there'll be problems that come up, but like.
Well, some things never change.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the Discord servers where Cam is an absolute menace. Okay. Cam is an absolute menace on Discord. This guy is great. But okay, so yeah, you said that you ended up getting like hired, and so wait, you went from being a judge on Dueling Network and eventually that transitions into Dueling Book.
Yeah.
But did you tell them like, hey, I used to do this already? Did you use your previous resume to kind of like get?
Well, X Steven, the guy who owns Dueling Book, was a senior admin on Dueling Network.
Okay, so you just I already know this person, yeah.
Yeah, so when he made Dueling Book, I was like, hey man, you need judges? He was like, yeah, sure. And so he was like, here you go. And then
can you give us a little bit of the? Oh, okay. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say. Then I want to ask you to give us a little bit of the life of a Dueling Book / Dueling Network judge, like what it entails.
Well, okay. So I left Dueling Book for a little while, and then I came back, and he had like GOAT format rated pool, and I know the GOAT format rulings really well. I helped compile a bunch of them. Like GOATformat.com is like one of the sites I helped to work on. And
I never knew that. That's cool.
Yeah, and he was like. And I was like, listen, man, you need some GOAT format judges. If you like rehire me, I will get on right now and take all of these GOAT format calls. Because like I've been watching a GOAT format duel that had a judge call that had been lasting like 30 minutes and no judge was coming, no judge was online. And I messaged him. I was like, dude, I will take all of these calls right now if you just like hire me as like your GOAT format guy. And he was like, okay, sure. So he rehires me. I get on. I take all the calls. Eventually, I become a senior, and now I'm a head admin of Dueling Book. I'm like the GOAT head judge. If we ever add Edison, I'd be the Edison head judge on Dueling Book as well.
I guess, can I just interrupt you real quick? I don't know what your connections are, but I don't understand why that hasn't become a thing yet on Dueling Book. Like, why isn't there an Edison rated pool? I don't.
Can you ask him the real questions?
It'd make everybody's life a lot easier. Just saying.
It's because people, unironically, this is kind of a meme answer, but like it's unironically because people keep asking, and so like every time we even toy with the idea of an Edison pool, someone's like, okay, well, how about hat format pool? How about a Tengu plan format pool? And X Steven's just like sick of people asking. Like,
I get that, but one of those like Edison at this point and for the last like year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if we add another rated pool, it's obviously Edison, and there wouldn't be any after it.
Yeah.
But like, but he just doesn't like the slippery slope of people asking for more and more formats. And I mean,
is it?
And also, we don't really have a judge staff at the moment, so that's another thing. But.
Okay, those are fair things. So basically, short-staffed is one of the reasons why. I think that saying because people keep asking for it is a bad excuse, though. If I'm being honest,
yeah, it's not because people keep asking for Edison. It's because people keep asking for every other format under the sun.
Right. So it opens up the can of worms. Like once you do one, now we want you to do Tengu. Now we want you to do Hat. Now we want you to do Dragon Rulers. Now we want you, and then it never stops.
But I think I think a good response is like even just stealing kind of what Fraser said now months ago or whatever, but like people have asked Fraser what other formats he's interested in, and Fraser said like there's other really cool formats. However, I'm not interested in fragmenting the community at the moment. Like right now the community's on Edison, and so even though there are other cool formats, but we just started getting recognition from Konami through Edison format. Let's not fragment the community. Let's really stand behind this and push this format. Maybe years down the line, maybe whatever down the line, we'll see what happens. But for now,
that's exactly how I feel. Yeah,
don't fragment the format. Edison's cool. Obviously, GOAT's already established, so GOAT's a thing, Modern's a thing, and then like Edison, and then everything else is just like I don't know, play it in your Discord server.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Kenny did say that was something I said a while ago, but I just want to reiterate that is exactly how I feel. I get asked very often, "Oh, what about Tengu format? Oh, what about Hat or all?" And people always try to sell me on and say how much better these other formats are. And whether that's true or not, I don't care. Like, I don't care if there are formats better than Edison right now. At this very moment, the content that I'm creating, the content that I enjoy creating, and the community that I enjoy supporting is specifically the Edison community. What do you want to say something, Kenny?
Also, they don't know that. They don't know that the format's better than Edison because people haven't looked at the format the way, like Edison wasn't what it is right now 2-3 years ago. Edison is what it is now after hundreds of people have now like gone. And then there's people like Rognark, or I don't know how to ever say his name right, but every other week he comes up with a new fucking frog build that's like nobody fucking thought of. And so all of these other formats people think are better, like they could be horrible once people start looking at them.
That's very true.
It's Yu-Gi-Oh, so they are.
I'm always nervous because the bigger the card pool gets in Yu-Gi-Oh, the worse there is a chance of something ridiculous presenting itself. So, for example, people love talking about Hat format. My experience with Hat format in actual 2014 was that Infernity was outrageous, and I do not wish to replay a format where that deck is very, very good. Like, that is not... That's just not what I want to do.
And modern Hat players are like, Infernity's not that good. Infinity's not that good. That's because there's 20 of you and only one person plays Infernity. Like it's if you had as many people playing Edison, playing Hat as you have playing Edison or Goat, you would have a substantial more number of Infernity players, and you would hate the format a lot more.
Yeah, and it's that, and it's also just the fact that like it's also the fact that I'm moving. Hold on, let me see if I can move this. Moving us over. I just noticed that we weren't like centered this whole time. No one told me that we weren't centered. Oh, so yeah, those formats don't have the level of talent either that Edison format currently has. No disrespect to anybody who plays these other formats. I'm sure that there are good people in them, right? Like there's always going to be a handful of them. But like,
look what happened here.
What'd I do?
I don't know. You said we're not centered, and now we're just absolutely scuffed.
Cardboard.
Now we're just completely scuffed.
I'm gonna move us back. All right, we're back.
I don't know
Lord
what
lift us up. Lord lift us up where we belong. Anyway, I like touching things. But yeah. So someone put in the chat, ask Cam his opinion on Tengu.
The format's awful. It's so bad.
Okay, I'll let you guys know because I know Cam. So Cam basically hates every format of Yu-Gi-Oh. Like essentially every format, Cam complains, and don't get me wrong, I'm right there with him. I pretty much complain about every format because I lived through most of them, and I know that in reality most Yu-Gi-Oh formats are not good. Like there's like an 80% chance that every format you think is good is actually just terrible.
Yeah,
and you either aren't good enough to realize it, or you just didn't live through it, so you don't have the experience to know that it wasn't actually a good format. Like a lot of form, 80% or more. And I know it's a random stat.
I think it's impressive though. Like Edison, I think Edison survived. Like we have decks that are slowly becoming better and better and like pushing ahead of the pack. But it's surprisingly a stable format, all things considered, with how much people have been.
Yeah, outside of like the frog combo stuff that no one is willing to play except for like one or two people. It's
thank God that there are only two people in the entire format who are willing to actually ruin everyone else's experience with the frog combo deck, because that could theoretically be like the best deck in the format. But I'm so glad that virtually no one plays it.
Yeah.
I want to look at the chat real quick because there's a lot in here. So GBO says, isn't Rognark just a shortened version of Frog and Monarch? That's not actually his name.
No.
His name isn't Rognark, it's Ronak or Ronick. And it's not even spelled Rognark. That's not how you spell it. That's what Kenny said, because a lot of people actually say it that way. But it's not. You would think though, right? Like Frog and Monarch.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I first met him, but it's actually just an Irish word.
Yeah, it's something Irish. It has nothing to do with Frog Monarch, or I won't say that because I actually don't know. But the spelling of it, the way it's written, is not actually Rognark. That is not actually what it is. So let's see what else is in the chat. Fraser's on a treadmill. And then the person who asked you the question about Tengu format, knowing that you would hate it, said that's exactly why I asked. That's Ben Bon Ben. Alex says Cam isn't lying. This time Tengu is stupid. Snack says Draco Zoo is the only format Cameron likes. Is this true?
Yeah, that format's the only good format we've ever had.
Draco Zoo 2017. Christian LeBlanc wins his third YCS.
I think that the only format you're ever going to find better than Edison, as far as like gameplay wise for the community as a whole, are all Arc 5 formats. So Necroz, Draco Zodiac, Not pure, not the first Zodiac format because you have like 3 rats and Norden and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I think Draco Zodiac is a really good format. I think Necroz, both with and without Gen, are pretty fine.
What about Warrior Toolbox format is fine.
Warrior Toolbox, that's taking it really far back. I wanna let's see. There was a question I wanted to ask you. Oh, someone Mayberry said, "What do you think about the Yu-Gi-Oh scene in North Carolina?" I think it might be the Edison scene, but it said thoughts. Oh yeah, thoughts on the new. I don't know what I just said. Thoughts on the North Carolina player base is what the question was. Sorry.
So having gone now to Vegas and Los Angeles to play Edison. Now at Vegas, it was only like 7 or 8 other people, and like a lot of them were also at Los Angeles. So I'll just go off Los Angeles. Keegan was really hyping up the LA players, and so the whole time he's like, "Yeah, I mean, you guys are going to do great, but these guys, they're not slouches. They're insane. They're like these guys are really good. There's so many YCS winners and toppers, like all in the LA Edison scene." And I go, and it just didn't feel as difficult as my locals.
Yeah.
And I was like, and maybe it's because like I've got people in my locals like Sasha who beat me and Rekoko in the 3v3 like this past weekend. We got second place to them. It was Sasha Yiching, who is the guy who beat you at the 2K with the
thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
He said, "Fuck your tournament. Fuck your undefeated record. Fuck you and your undefeated record."
But yeah, it was Sasha, Yiching, and Adam, and those guys beat us in the finals of 3v3. And like maybe it's because I've played against them so much, I like know what to do against me.
Yeah,
but they feel tougher than like going out to LA and playing against people who've won YCSs. Like it just like the competition in LA, and also might have been my bracket luck maybe, but like it just felt kind of soft out there. And I feel like
I want to interject real quick. Here's what I think. I think in general, and this just makes sense. I think that what I'm saying is just a logical thing. There is no local scene in the world that is going to be better than the online world in pretty much any competitive thing.
Oh yeah.
Like
because
if you
online
think
you have
about
everyone.
Online is all of the best people who want to play can play. They don't have to worry about, can I get to California to play this in real life event, or can I get to Vegas or whatever. They're just all there. So like all of the good people who are from Italy or Europe in general, all the people from Canada, all the people from North America or like the United States or whatever, Japan, technically everyone could be playing Edison format with us in the Discord server, and you don't need to physically be there. When you are physically in a place, you are limited to the people normally who are either one, who have the resources and are willing to travel long distances to get to that place. Like obviously me, when I used to play at a high level, I would travel no matter where the YCS was, I would fly to it. But I had a sponsor, so that made it easier because the resources to do that, it's very expensive. And me, I was one of the better players, but imagine if I can only play at events that were close to the tri-state area, New York, Philadelphia, Jersey, etc. Like it's kind of hard to say that any tournament that's far out in the West Coast where a lot of people don't travel to necessarily is indicative of high competition just because like, oh, there's some good players there. Like, sure, there are, but if you want the hardest experience, if you want like the real deal, an online tournament technically should have anyone who's good, who's willing to play has access to it.
I'll add the small caveat that like it does depend on how the environment's brought up. I think for Edison, that's 1,000,000% true because it was kind of born as an online community. But I remember, and maybe this has changed nowadays, but I remember back when Dueling Network was like first a thing, and even years after DN was a thing, a lot of the really good Yu-Gi-Oh players, didn't put much, like they wouldn't, like Fraser wasn't entering DN tournaments. You know what I mean? Like
if there weren't any, I did not.
Like the online scene for like Dueling Network at the time, people weren't like. Wasn't necessarily the strongest scene because like not all of the best players really put time in the like playing rated on DN. Like the number one rated player in DN wasn't necessarily one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
Just because like the environment of how it came up was different. And I think like the same was true for fighting games. I think now fighting games, there's a much stronger online scene because most fighting games are getting rollback now. But before fighting games had rollback, good fighting game players did not ever want to play online because they were like,
you're right.
They were like, fuck you. Like, I'm not playing online.
You know what's so funny about that, though? You said that, Kenny, the rollback netcode, how it changed the world.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. This is getting off to a little bit of an aside because we're going to talk about fighting games for a split second here. But Smash Ultimate, right, is a game that has an online community, and online sucks in Smash Ultimate because Nintendo fucking sucks when it comes to their online experience. It's just not up to par Everyone knows this. There's input lag. There's all kinds of other technical issues that they just have. Rollback netcode helps with this. Kenny, you want to say something real quick?
I just want to say it's just funny because like the online could be fine. Look at Monster Hunter Rise. Like look at Monster Hunter Rise. Like the online could be fine, but
it's not. It's terrible.
Just not.
So Smash Ultimate is one of the biggest fighting games in the world. It's one of the biggest fighting games of all time. And the craziest thing is right now, the best player in the world is Spargo. And he started as an online player during the pandemic. Before the pandemic happened, Spargo wasn't even somebody that you would consider like top anything in the world. He was just whoever he was, some random kid. The pandemic happens. We're all in our houses. We're all doing a lot of things online because we don't have a choice. There's no more fighting game tournaments in real life. There's no more anything. There's no more Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments in real life. So everybody has to find new ways to be competitive. Spargo ends up being the best player online, right? Him and Sonics were like the two best. Mm-hmm. Sonics not in the best way, but Spargo ends up being the best player in Smash Ultimate Online. And everyone was saying, I can't wait until in real life events come back because all of these fake people who are good in online, they're going to be nobodies in real life comes back. Well, spoiler alert, it's 2023 now. In real life events have been happening for the last year and a half. And Spargo is the best player in the world over MK Leo, who was by far the best player. He's not even in consideration for best player in the world right now. And on top of that, the other guy, Sonics, is also top 10 in the world. And he was also thought to be, once the pandemic is over, once people go back to in real life, you're going to be a nobody. Spargo, you're going to be a nobody. It's going to go back to Leo wins everything, and the world will be at peace. And that just did not happen.
You know what's funny about that? And this goes kind of to like the fallacies of human mind or whatever and how they put things together, or like not fully understanding an argument when you argue it. The people that said that, like, oh, Spargo's not going to be real when it comes back, they were comparing a COVID world, a post-COVID world, a post-online everything world to like before. The best players in the world never entered online tournaments. So you never got those competitions. But the best players in the world were still playing everyone because they were traveling the world and they were playing people in LA, Philadelphia, New York, Canada, fucking Peru, wherever, right? Yeah. They were traveling. And so they were playing all the time, entering tournaments, and they were really good. And they weren't entering online tournaments, where online tournaments before were just online kids. So if you were the best online kid, it would make sense to be like, oh, he's not real until he enters a real tournament because he's never actually played against real people. During COVID, Spargo was playing against anybody that still wanted to actually compete. That was the environment.
Many times.
That was the environment to compete in. And people that refused to play online, that meant they had 2 or 3 years where they just weren't playing competitively. They got rusty. They weren't in tournaments traveling the world. So like it's a completely different mindset and a different argument. And so to think somebody who excelled in the COVID era of online would actually suck when offline came back is like pure cope. Like,
yep, it was. And people got embarrassed because they started losing to these online only players when things went back to normal or whatever normal is now. I want to get into the chat real quick because there are some questions here. So Alex the Man says, who was your sponsor? How did you get one? So my sponsor was ARG, was the first one I ever had. I rejected their first offer so I won a YCS and then I topped a couple YCS, and then Jim, the owner of ARG, came to me at, I believe it was, I don't know, YCS Providence or something like that. He came up to me. He was like, hey, I have a team, as you know, like we write articles, we do stuff. We have a store, online store and all this stuff. And I wanted to know if you wanted to come on. It's like Billy Brake was on the team. I think at the time, Jeff Jones was on the team too. Alex Van Sant, Cordero. It was a stacked roster. And I told him straight up, I said, I won a YCS on my first ever top. And I am not sure if I'm actually as good as everyone thinks I am, because it could just be, I could be one of those people that, they only top that one event and you never hear from them again. Yu-Gi-Oh has a history, even at that time, right? This is 12 years ago. Even at that time, Yu-Gi-Oh had a history of people who would like win an event and then they would never top anything ever again. Like you never see that person again. It's like, okay, well, that was probably variance, because if that person's still playing in big events and they're just not doing well ever, I assume that at that point, they're probably not actually that good and they just had a good day, because anyone can have a good day. So I wanted to prove myself. And what I did was I went on a topping spree with different decks. I had a chip on my shoulder that I could top with anything. So I started playing, I went from Gravekeepers to Dragoonity I played McCabe was topping everything with X-Saber, so I said I can do that too. So I played X-Sabers, I topped with that. Then I switched to Agents and I topped with that. Then I switched to Plants and I topped with that. And I was like, at the end of the year, that same year that he asked me when I declined it, I was like, okay, I will now take you up on the offer because I feel like I'm good enough to sit at the table with the big dogs. Like I feel like now I've put enough credentials under my belt to say I'm clearly good at this game. I'm clearly able to consistently perform well. It wasn't just a one-time thing where you top this one event and then you're never to be seen from again. So once he started sponsoring me, that meant that we got free hotels at every event, which is, now that I look back on it, because I'm way older now. When I was a kid, I was such a fucking shitty, like spoiled. I was such a spoiled brat. Dear God, I was spoiled. But like now that I'm older and I understand money better because I pay my own bills now and everything. Like at the time I was so young, I didn't really have to. My parents paid everything when I was a kid. But now that I'm older, I understand and respect like people using their money on you is a blessing in general. And he would pay for like all of our hotels. So we always had a hotel every event. And in my head, I took it for granted because it's just like, oh, whatever, like it's just a hotel. But now like hotels are expensive. Like they're fucking expensive as hell. And then he would pay for not every flight, but if my flight was from Philadelphia to Seattle, which is for me, that's far and very expensive for me because I live all the way on the East Coast in Philadelphia. Seattle is extremely far. So he'd be like, I'll pay for that flight because that one is insane. But if there's an event in like, I don't know, Jersey, right? Yeah, like you get yourself to Jersey, even something that's like a 6-hour drive, like North Carolina, right? Jim would not fly me to North Carolina because one, that flight is literally an hour from Philadelphia. And the flight is also like $78. Like even right now, if I want to go to nationals, which I'm going this week, but I'm driving with my friends, but I could fly there for $78 and it's an hour flight, or I could drive there with my friends for 6 hours. And it's like, so he'd be like, yeah, that you could take care of that yourself. You still have your hotel and everything. But as far as like, flying to every event is like, no, only the events where you really need to be flown to because it's that. So anything in California, anything in like Seattle, it's Arizona, stuff like that, he paid for. And then we wrote articles and he compensated us for writing articles too. But that was basically how I got a sponsor, was showing that I was a good player, showing that I was a consistently good player. Also, it was mandatory that if you were on the ARG team that you had to write articles every week. So like that was another thing that we did. And I happen to enjoy writing. Now this can transition perfectly into Cam. You happen to also write articles, or have in the past at least.
I have written a few, yeah. So I've been working on one for a while too. It's like really long though.
Where can they find your actual article content? Like, is there a website that you can direct?
Yeah, I don't have my own website. I just have like on my Dueling Book profile, I have a link to like everything I've written.
Okay, so it's on your Dueling Book. So if you just go to Cameron Saunders on Dueling Book, it's in your profile.
Yeah.
And what made you, like, what inspired you to even write Yu-Gi-Oh articles? Because I think I know the answer. Like, part of it is Magic the Gathering, but I'll let you explain, obviously, for yourself.
Yeah, I really like the Magic the Gathering articles, and like, I feel like there are a lot of ideas in Yu-Gi-Oh that like they encapsulate, but just not perfectly. So like, anytime someone's like, "Oh, like read Who's the Beatdown, read the Philosophy of Fire" or something, it's like those are great articles. I also have them linked because I really enjoy them. I think they're some immortal articles for card games, but like they don't really apply to Yu-Gi-Oh like they do to Magic.
Yeah, like not 1-to-1 comparison.
Yeah. They're not 1-to-1, and so I think it's important to like have a base of knowledge that applies specifically to the game you're playing. And another thing is that like these Magic articles reference Magic cards a lot, and I don't play Magic, so I don't know Magic cards. I every time I see a Magic card in like a Star City Games article, I have to hover over it and read what it does, and then like read like 9 or 10 of them back to back to like piece together like what interaction they're talking about. And it's like, but if you play Yu-Gi-Oh and the person writing the article is using Yu-Gi-Oh cards, that's just a lot easier on your mind.
Yeah.
So like, if I read a Yu-Gi-Oh article from like Patrick Hoban in 2015 and he's talking about Necroz card interactions, I know exactly what he's talking about. But if I read a Magic article and he mentions, I don't know, like Ulamog or some card, like, do you know what that card does?
No, I couldn't tell you. I know a lot of Magic cards. I know Jace the Mind Sculptor. I know Cruel Ultimatum and all that stuff. But yeah, whatever you just said, no clue.
Sounds like you just made shit up.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds like you just put letters together. He said Ulamog.
Yeah, like somebody punched you in your solar plexus. And that's the noise you fucking made.
Ulamog.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that made me like want to write Yu-Gi-Oh articles. But also just like I have just in general, I like writing as well. I've been working on like some books and stuff, like not Yu-Gi-Oh books because I'm not that much of a nerd, but
oh, shout out to Patrick Hoban.
But some like fantasy books and stuff. And since I like writing, I was like, okay, I'll just put some ideas down, and that was how I got started.
Hold on, real quick. I got to jump in here. I just got to shit on you real quick, Cam, but it's a shitting in a loving way. I say this as somebody who fucking is obsessed with D&D. I fucking love Dungeons and Dragons. I love playing it. However, you said I'm not writing Yu-Gi-Oh books. I'm not that much of a nerd, but I'm writing fantasy books. Like, bro, yes, you are.
It makes sense,
bro.
Like,
books
if he was
money.
like,
that's the difference.
Like, I'm writing some books, not Yu-Gi-Oh books. I'm not a nerd. I'm writing a political commentary on.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm writing. I'm not writing Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm writing Lord of the Rings. Like, okay,
yeah, I'm like fucking nerd.
Me fucking too.
Oh yeah, I mean that's fair. However,
yeah, that's funny. I know what you meant though. I know what you meant. Your intention was good. But yeah, so I've actually read some of Cam's work, and it's actually pretty good. Like, you could have for sure been on the ARG writing team, no question, because you have some people just are not very good at sentence structure and just how to convey an idea or a concept to people. And you're very good at that. I think that your writing style is actually very good. It's immersive. Like, the words you use, you have colorful vocabulary. So definitely check out some of Cam's articles on his DB profile. They are genuinely decent articles to read. And they give some backstory on who you are as a person, which I liked.
Yeah.
Because before I read them, I had a completely different perception of who you are. Like,
yeah, well, okay. So let me ask this. So you first come in the Discord. Like,
somebody said you look like the nerd emoji. I'm sorry.
You first come in the Discord and you see this guy with an Asian girl profile picture saying stuff. Like, what's your first thought about me?
Okay, so my first thought about you was, this guy is a fucking asshole. Because the first time I ever watched you play, you were just being you in the chat, and I didn't know to not take you seriously, because that's the thing about internet, right? Is that you don't know when somebody's being sarcastic to be funny, or if they're being sarcastic to be an actual dickhead. I couldn't tell. So when I first started watching, like when I first joined the Edison community, the online Discords and all that stuff, and I saw you, and like you had your girl profile picture, K-pop, is it K-pop? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I remember,
like the way Fraser says that, like a dad. Like, what is that thing you kids are listening to? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? K-pop? Is that? Am I hip with the children?
I'm so old. I didn't know what to think of you, and I also thought you were a girl too. So there was a long period where I thought that you were actually a girl, and the reason is because the name Cameron is a unisex. It's a unisex name.
Funny story about that.
Cameron Diaz. Go ahead. Oh God, please tell it. I already know what you're about to say. Funny story.
So when I first became a dueling book judge, one of my best friends in the judging community, his name is Rafa Santos. He thought I was a girl, and he told me one day that, like, when he first saw me like posting in like the DB Discord and stuff, and he was like, he started developing a crush on me because I was like good at Yu-Gi-Oh and I like knew judge stuff, and he thought it was a girl because he's from Brazil, and the only Cameron he ever knew was Cameron Diaz. So he thought it was just a girl's name. So he tells me one day that he started developing a crush on me until he gets a friend suggestion on Facebook from me. And
imagine his face when he sees Cameron Saunders, and it's just fucking you. Like, it's just you.
Oh, you know what would have been so fucking good? If, like, one day he built the carriage up and, like, asked you out and shit. Like,
God. That is insane. Yeah, I can imagine that he's not the only person that thought you were a girl, because I did. Like, I just thought that I saw the girl, and I knew you weren't the girl in the photo. I was like, there's no fucking way he looks that good, right? There's no Yu-Gi-Oh player that looks that fucking good. So there was that. I was like, you're not the girl in the photo, but I did assume that you were actually a girl. And then certain things started to tell me that you weren't actually a girl over time. I kind of realized, like, okay, wait, this is actually a guy. I'm on the internet. Be fucking for real is basically what I told myself. Like, be for real. But yeah, luckily, I'm not into girls, so I didn't develop a crush on you looking at your picture, your name. Yeah, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. I want to know the guy's face when he saw your friend request, and it was literally the guy that we see right here in the middle of this Deep Sea Diva, and he's like, I fell for you. Like,
oh my God.
That's something.
I just want to say, probably thanks to Smash Ultimate. At no point do I ever see a K-pop girl profile picture and ever think there's a girl behind. It doesn't matter what your name is or what you say. When I see a K-pop profile picture, I know it's a guy.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that is true actually because Spargo and MKLeo, the two of the best players in the world, like they're both top 5 or whatever. Both of them are like obsessed with K-pop, I think, and they use tags while they fight that are all I don't know what they mean. One of them is like Seluigi, is like Seuligi or something like. Okay, didn't even say it right. Look at you. Look at how quick this
I like
man
that
just
Frazier said Sue Luigi.
Yeah, bro. What do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to do? I had no idea what you were talking about.
The best part is like it's not just Smash, it's not just Yu-Gi-Oh! It's actually the reason I got into like the K-pop profile picture thing was ironic from the RuneScape community because all the top players in RuneScape do this too. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll just throw on the K-pop profile picture, and I'll, and then it just like became a thing. So it's like, and it's not even like ironic at this point, like because like I genuinely like the profile pictures now. But like at first, I was just like, yeah, what, screw it, I'll do the K-pop thing. And now it is what it is.
And you started listening to it. Do you play RuneScape?
I used to. I haven't played in a long time.
I don't know really anything about it. I've played RuneScape once in my life for 8 hours. I have 2 really close friends that are obsessed with old school RuneScape.
Yeah, that's when I was playing. Yeah.
And one of them donated, I think, like $100 to my stream. I don't. Maybe it was 100. Maybe it was like 25 or 50. I don't know. He donated money, and he was like, he basically just requested me to play RuneScape one time to see if I would like it for like a whole stream. I did an 8-hour stream of it, and I had fun, but it's just not. It's not the game for me.
Yeah, it's such a grindy game. You can't just play it once and put it like if you play it once and put it down, just keep it down.
It's. I mean, I know me. It's not the game for me. But it's cool. I know people that are super into.
What is the goal of RuneScape for people who don't know, like me?
To get 99 wood cutting.
There's like 23 stats. You get 99 all of them. There's like it's just an MMO. There's like so many things to do.
Okay.
You just build your stat, and you build your stats like really like you'll like cut down trees and like cut the the wood on the trees, and it'll build your wood cutting stat, and then like you'll get better at doing that and do it faster or whatever, or like fire or like starting fires and stuff like that.
Yeah,
people will just like AFK, not AFK, but like pseudo AFK grind certain stats, and then there's like super boss rushes. I don't know exactly, but my friend is like super excited because he just recently did like, I don't know, he got like a cape, like the red cape or the demon cape. I don't fucking know what it's called.
Infernal cape.
Infernal cape. Yeah, he did like some really hard thing with a sequence of bosses in a dungeon or some shit. I don't know.
I still haven't got that. Like that's actually a really tough thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he told me I was allowed to brag about it through him. Like I could be like, I have a friend with the infernal cape.
And you were like, okay,
sure, I'll do it.
hey, it's worked once because it impresses me. So
see.
So Cam, I want to talk a little bit about your revenge tour, and I've been calling it that, not you, but there was a period where me and Cam were recording a lot of content this year for YouTube. It was I kind of like let Stango go on his own for a bit, and it was me and Cam, and we had a lot of fun. We made a lot of good videos, a lot of iconic videos, and funny ass moments. So if you haven't seen those, check out our YouTube. All the episodes that say featuring Cam Saunders are all bangers.
After this Yugioh segment, I'm gonna swing this back in the K-pop. Don't you worry.
Oh, okay. So while we were recording a lot, there would be moments where we'd have some interesting plays come up, and there were people out there who started saying crazy shit about Cam, thinking that he wasn't actually like, really good at the game and all this stuff. Now, I've done my part in quelling a lot of that, but what was cool to me was that you ended up traveling to the In Real Life RBET, and then there was a subsequent PS5 tournament. And this is all around the same time. This is like in that same month period of this happening. I think before that, you hadn't like topped an online event or whatever in a while. So people were like, oh, like, washed or just all kinds of crazy shit. And then you go out to the In Real Life RBET, which again, just for people to know, that tournament has some of the best talent in the entire Edison community.
Yeah, it was basically an online tournament.
It was literally all the best people basically were there. Like there were a few that obviously were missing because it was a capped event. So you couldn't make a decision to go to it last minute. Because the closer it got to that event, I decided that I really would have liked to have gone, but it was capped. So it was like, even if I go, I can't actually play in it. But you ended up topping that event, and I think you finished really high in Swiss too and everything, right? Like,
I was undefeated in Swiss.
Oh, excuse me. You were undefeated in Swiss, to be exact, which was cool because I think like 2 weeks before that, I had traveled down to North Carolina to play, and we're on the same team now and everything, but to play in the there was like a 2K. There's a 2K at the store, Big Boy Gaming in North Carolina, where you're from. And I go undefeated. And then the next In Real Life tournament, you go undefeated. And me and you have been doing content together. So I just thought that was really cool that, you know, people are like, oh, like you guys play like shit or whatever in this video. And we're always talking like, listen, in these videos, do not think that this is indicative of our actual skill level, because I want you to try to duel while talking to YouTube and also talking to another person about what you want to do and play perfectly while you're talking to someone the entire time and trying to entertain people for a video. And
also, like, when you have two people, you can't always just agree on the play. Someone has to like throw out a not good play every once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
So, someone has to like
may be not even necessarily a not good play, but a different
just like
play.
a different one. Yeah. Like just something to get you thinking about like the game state, because like you can get to autopilot, and it stops being entertaining.
I can hear Cam Frazier.
Oh, I don't think I can hear. Hold on, wait. Yeah. I can't. The audio cut out. I think it's that thing again.
Frazier was like, I can't hear you.
All right, so this issue, guys, if you can hear me, let me know in the chat if you can hear me. This issue has happened before.
I don't think
where
the
my
chat can hear us, Cam.
cuts out for a second, and I have to like basically kind of restart to get it back. So what I'm going to do, because I assume that Kenny, you can hear me, right? Not if you can hear me. All right, Kenny can hear me. I assume Cam can hear me too if Kenny can hear me. But the thing is,
Kenny,
the audio is not
me,
coming
right?
back.
Yeah,
I can hear them. Like literally, I can hear them at all.
It's just
so
Frazier's
I am going
up.
to, and I don't know what causes this issue, but every once in a while it's been happening to me. I don't know what the fuck it is.
This happens every time.
I am going to speak again, Kenny. I just want to make sure.
Hey, check.
It did not
you said every time you guys record a video.
So I'm going to restart real quick, and then you guys can hear me. I'm going to restart real quick, and then we're just going to pick up where we left off. So
literally every time.
Unfortunately, end the stream and then pick it back up. We are at 3 hours and 41 minutes, so I still have like 20 hours of live streaming to do. But just give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. Kenny, Cam, just hold.
Oh no, the 24-hour stream is going to be broken.
Yeah, like every time me and him record a video together, like there's like this big there's this moment he'll be like, and we're back, guys. It's because like we took like an hour trying to like figure out what happened with his audio.
That's all.
Ooh.
Yeah, might have to reinstall.
That's crazy.
Just had to reinstall Windows last. I was playing you know what Parsec is?
Yeah.
I was playing a game called HyperDBZ on Parsec, and I tried to install a driver, and it just locked my entire computer up. And my computer was just unplayable. Nothing worked. I restarted it. Nothing worked. I fucking rebuilt the startup process. I went to safe mode, recovery mode. I did everything. It was just completely locked up, and I couldn't do anything. And so, I just had to reinstall Windows.
That's nuts. I've not had to reinstall Windows. I need to get a new computer, though, because like mine's like 7 years old now and just terrible.
Pretty much. I built this in 2017, my rig, so... My rig's pretty old now, too. I was thinking about getting a 3060. I definitely need a new graphic.
Yeah.
3060.
You know, every time this happens with him, just taking out his earbuds and, like, going through his computer speakers, like, works. I mean, I guess the audio quality is worse, but, like, I don't know. Like, that does fix it.
Hey, guys, again.
Hello.
1 second. I'm getting everything back up. I was like, I hope it doesn't happen during this, but it fucking did.
Ah, shit. I should have paused the recording. Oh, well.
No, it's fine. It'll be that's good for the what do we do? We do the Patreon
bonus Cameron content.
Yeah, it'll be good for the Patreon stuff. Okay, so let me pop you guys back out. I think that you were full screened on, so click watch stream. So you need me now to turn my shit back on.
I do. Participants without video are currently hidden.
Okay, so turn on camera. Is that what I was doing before? Turn on camera. Okay, there I am. Okay.
There you are.
This to not pop up. Definitely don't want that.
That's got to go on another monitor.
Yeah, you saw that?
Yep.
Yeah, that was actually that was like my work chat, which is obviously not okay for that to be displayed. I think that we're back to the way we were, right? Everything's good.
I think so.
Okay, so let me go to.
It looks like he's got like a smoke effect behind him this time.
Oh yeah, that's because it's still settling in, I guess, with what mirror effect is going to do. Okay, so let me go start live streaming software. It's made out to the public. Okay, manage broadcast. So can I click start streaming, or you need to set up a broadcast before you start streaming? Manage, and then when I click manage, it says YouTube access error. So this happened before today too. So I have to go to settings, stream, disconnect account, and then connect account, connect IMNerdpodcast, continue. Authorization completed successfully. You can now close this page.
Oh, thanks.
Apply. Okay. Now we go start streaming. You need to set up manage broadcast. So, oh god, I have to put this all again. 24-hour stream, Yugioh Edison format, live podcast, final. I just put FF16, FF16, God of War.
Well, I can't wait to eat.
I know, I'm so hungry. We only have a little bit longer.
Depends on how much I get him to talk about. He was like, "You guys want this podcast to end, don't you?"
All right, let me remember these settings. So public, no, it's not made for kids. 24-hour stream. Okay, create broadcast and start streaming. Here we go.
Are we live?
We're about to be creating a new live broadcast. Please wait. Okay, I think we're live again.
Live? We live, everybody? Live, I have something to share with.
Well, it's gonna take a second, I guess, for people to get back in. So hold on. I guess I have to check if we're live. So let me do this. Also, I can hear like an ambulance or something. Your channel. Okay, here we go. All right. Well, there is a sorry. All the things are happening right now. All right. So Quest says we're live. That's good. So that's at least one person who can actually hear us.
All right. So we're live. Welcome everybody. The 24-hour stream just now starts at 12:50.
Yep. All right. So we're back. I think we're officially back. Everything is good. So people will probably start trickling in again. Welcome back. Yep. Here we go. Yes, you're live. Hello. We lit. Audio good. All right. Everything is back. Cool. I don't know where we left off with. I was talking about Cam's Revenge Tour. Because you went on to top both events that weekend that were in real life, and the competition was definitely stiff.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you on that. But that just, I just wanted to make sure that people know that, again, playing for content and playing actually, especially in real life, is just way different. Like, they're two different things entirely.
I don't know. And like, to some extent, like, I don't consider myself like some, absolutely insane player. Like, no, I'm not like some legendary guy or anything like that. But like,
who is?
Yeah, they don't play for content. They don't record their games. They don't talk to other people they play, and they don't, think like how to be entertaining while also winning a duel and stuff. It's like,
right.
That's the thing.
And,
like, don't let it get to you. I know that's hard. It's easier said than done, but
this
happens with everything. Like, I'll just use Smash as an example because it's probably the thing I'm most familiar with. But it's so fucking often that the chat, even the commentators, they're watching two people playing that are better than everyone else in the fucking world, better than the 1,000 people in chat, better than the commentators. And they're like, why did he do that there? He should have done this. And it's like, you're sitting down eating Doritos. Like you, in order to judge, and these are like people playing, like people always say like, oh, he did the wrong play there, he did the wrong this there. It's like, you're eating fucking Doritos. There's a reason why you're not in grand finals with Mango and Armada.
Why they gotta be eating Doritos?
That's what they're doing. Because know why they're eating Doritos? It's to show how not ready their hands are to even play at that level. Like, they can't hold a fucking controller with all the Dorito dust. So anyway, that just always happens, especially the better you get and the more you play, I feel like, online for people to see, the more people that are going to say like, oh, this person's actually a scrub. That person's actually really bad. He's this, he's that. And they're going to just talk shit on you. And it's like, you're not making content. You're not topping any of these tournaments. You're eating fucking Doritos.
It's really hard to make content and also perform at a high level, in my opinion, because it's very time consuming. And the two things are kind of at odds with each other. Just speaking from, I guess, me and Cam's perspective, it's like content people like a lot of casual stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And we're competitive and we like just basically the S tier stuff. And we might fiddle around with like an A tier quick draw deck or something like that. But for the most part, like, you're playing Diva Hero Beat and you're out there topping tournaments. You're playing Diva Frogs and you're out here topping tournaments. Those are all S tier decks. That's the competitive stuff. That doesn't exactly appeal to a broad audience of people as relative to what appeals to the casuals. But even so, like all that said, the technical play that's required to use like some of these S tier decks and stuff, it's a lot. And when you use any of your brain's bandwidth to talk and explain yourself, maybe even argue with someone over a play, it takes you out of it a bit. Like it really takes you out of it. So
Fraser will argue with how to play.
Yeah, that he will. ProStorm has said, like, if I'm not distracted, I'm like a top 5 player. And I don't think he's like off base, because like when I play in person, I don't have Discord. I don't have someone talking in my ear. Like a lot of times, like I lost a War League match. Not a match. I lost game 2 of a War League match because I went in Discord and said, why can't I draw any of my side cards? And then I forgot to set a Fossil Dynamo. Like I literally lost the game because I just opened Discord to complain that I couldn't draw like a pulling of a rug, and I drew a fossil dyna, and then I said it didn't. I forgot to set it, and he had enemy controller to kill me, and I was like, man. So like the fact that I distracted myself into losing even one game, I can't do that in person.
Yes, that's enough. So Snack brought up an interesting point here that I talk about as well. I always say I'm like top 2 players in the entire game if I'm commentating or spectating, because there's no, right. there's no pressure on me at all. Right? When you're spectating, like, you know everything. You don't have all the things that go into a person's mind as they're playing the game out slowly, as they're living through the storyline of the game, because every game is a story. You don't experience any of that. Mm-hmm. You just kind of sit there, like Kenny said, eating fucking Doritos. You have no stakes. You have no skin in the game, right? You have no stakes. And we're going to watch some of these RBET top 8 matches after this podcast. But, like, you have no skin in it, and it's easy to make decisions that are risky, or, you know, oh, you just got to go for it here. You got to say Air Force. Like, it's easy to say that when you are not the person who, if they lose, they're out the tournament.
Yeah.
So, you know, a little armchair commentary. But yeah, Snack said, I know that when I'm commentating for DDV, I make a lot of boneheaded suggestions because I'm not anywhere near as focused on the gameplay as I would be if I were actually playing myself. And I agree with that. Like, so that's the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like, you could say things that aren't necessarily good or correct because, again, you're not as into it as someone else, or it's easier to be so honed in on every aspect of what you should be doing when you have no stakes. So it could go either way. Like, in my opinion, or not in my opinion, from my perspective, I'm more correct at the game when I'm not playing it, and when I'm just observing. Like when the true hero plays against Stengo, right? They play all the time, like literally all the fucking time.
They really
do. They really play like, oh my God. Every time I open Discord, those two are in the group chat, they're dueling or whatever, and they're just going back and forth, and they're having a time of their lives. But I'll watch the games, and I'll be critiquing them.
I don't know how either of them have time for a girlfriend, because
I don't either.
Because all they do is play Yu-Gi-Oh together.
Yeah, they're in a relationship with each other, if we're being honest. Like, the amount that those two play is crazy, and the amount that I spectate, because I enjoy, people don't notice, but I actually don't enjoy playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, I prefer to be on the sidelines. I like doing commentary. Yes, I really am though. Like, I do not, playing the game is way too stressful in my opinion. I prefer just watching, talking about it. And I did that for ARG for a while too. There was a period where I was spectating and commentating on events, broadcasting, and I like that. Like, that job to me is so fun because I have the experience to like speak on it at a high level, and I can analyze if somebody misplayed or whatever. So that for me is really, really fun. And it doesn't feel as stressful as obviously playing and having stakes on you and the pressure of performing and all that, you know, all the stuff that goes into playing. But yeah, again, at the end of the day, right, like, someone who's doing commentary or someone who is performing for content is not going to be at their tippy top tier shape when they're playing by themselves in person, as we have to do in person every time we play. So just to kind of get that out there. And let's see, Miles Greenwood said, imagine you're at a YCS and your opponent just pulls out his phone and complains on Discord. I've had some moments actually where in the middle of my match, this is before Discord, so again, I'm old, but there were times where I would be in the top cut of a YCS and my opponent would be taking like outrageously long, or there would be like something weird happening where a judge is talking to another judge and they made us freeze play, and then we're just sitting there for a scary amount of time where you start to wonder if somebody's about to get DQ'd. And I'll pull out my phone and just go on Facebook and be like, I don't know what's going on, but my opponent's playing terrible, and I'm sitting here for 30 minutes. The judges told us to freeze play. I don't know what's happening. And then the judges will come back and be like, you guys can continue. And we don't even know what happened. We have no idea what that was about. Nothing even came of it. End up winning and then going on. But like, I'll pull out my phone. They don't really say anything. I think that you're not supposed to have your phone out at tournaments, but like, I think in those situations where like freeze play, they don't really care. I'll go and write statuses or whatever. It's, you know, who cares?
I keep my phone on me to use a calculator because I don't want to carry around some.
See, I don't like people like you. People who use their phone for calculators.
I'm with Cameron. I'm with fucking
I hate
Cameron.
that.
Nah, dude. When I do it, I pick up my phone and I show and I'm on the calculator.
Okay. So my problem. Here's my problem, because I'm neurotic as fuck. I think in my head about every possible outcome, and I have played around so many scummy Yu-Gi-Oh players for a huge chunk of my life. I can't help it. It's just the way my mind is set up. I naturally have I just think about things in a terrible way sometimes.
No, I get you.
So I know that there are players who use their phone as calculators, and then they get text messages with someone's hand that shows, you know, it shows up as a notification. It goes up on the top of the screen like he has Dark Hole or he has Blizzard or whatever, right? It comes across the screen real quick. and then they see it and they like might swipe it away or whatever. But like you sitting across the table can't see what that said, especially if you can't read upside down. So stuff like that is just like really, because even if you have it on your calculator app, like what you said, you still get a notification that says like he has torrential set or whatever, right? Like, and just the idea that that could happen makes me not want my opponents to use a phone to do anything. Like, I don't want you to use a phone to do literally anything. Not to mention that phones are technically against the rules anyway. So like, I'm not.
I mean, if I went to like a Konami event, I guess I would have to carry a calculator with me. But like,
yeah, I just prefer that you use pen and paper or do what I do. I use a TI-83 calculator, so it's like I can't do anything on this thing that would be resembling cheating or whatever. Like, it's just a TI-83. So yeah, I hate phones, but that's my personal gripe. I understand that nine out of 10 people, maybe even higher than that, are not doing anything suspicious on their phone when they're playing Yu-Gi-Oh. But like, again, I just have too many experiences where, I have too many experiences. So I think so, Kenny, to answer your question that you just asked me, I think we do. I think.
I see. I just wanted to give a quick I hate doing this. This is the thing that Kenny hates the most, by the way. That's why Fraser does all of this. I'm a terrible shill. But I just want to real quick in the middle of this goddamn podcast do a quick shill real quick. Since we're streaming 24 hours live on YouTube, please like the fucking stream. Because if you like the stream, it might get more exposure and more people can watch it and see it and interact and talk shit. So like the stream. And then if you want, I think they're enabled. I don't really know because I don't stream on YouTube that often. I usually do it on Twitch. But I think we have super chats enabled. If you want to do that, you can do that too. Yeah,
I think super chats are enabled. So if you guys want to show your support for the IMNerd podcast, we appreciate all the support. And you can support as easy as just liking the stream, like Kenny said, or you could do a super chat. And I guess that kind of reads off to everybody. I think that's how that works.
I don't know.
We read it off.
I'm pretty inexperienced when it comes to streaming on YouTube specifically.
So to pivot from our shilling, Danny said thoughts on the 1/1 ring in Magic the Gathering. So yeah, Alex, I agree. We had more likes before the stream had to be reset, which really sucks because that audio issue, it does happen to me every once in a while, and I have to like reset everything. So that might happen again throughout this 24 hours. I'm not sure, but it only happens when I'm recording. I think though. I think I've been in Discord calls for hours and hours and hours and hours, and nothing goes wrong. And then specifically when I'm recording, it happens.
Cam was telling me, I'm gonna pull the curtain out. Fuck y'all. Cam was like, by the way, every single time we record a video for YouTube, this happens. So Fraser's video goes out, Fraser's audio goes out.
I don't know what it is.
And then it's always Fraser too. You might just have, there might be like some interaction in your computer that's not working correctly. Yeah. And like, I don't know.
I don't know what it is. Yeah. What I need to do is the next time I'm recording and it's not this, I don't want to troubleshoot it like in this instance.
Yeah.
But the next time it happens, I really need to take some time to try to fix it when it happens. But all right, I want to get back to this 1/1 Magic the Gathering, sort of one ring to rule them all. I don't know if you guys know, I've probably told the story before, but there is a set of Magic that came out very recently, and inside of it there is a 1/1 card that is the one ring to rule them all. Space Overloaded rings, obviously, and basically whoever finds it, and it's been found, it just got found 2 days ago, but whoever finds it was guaranteed at least $1 million, if not more. So somebody did pack it officially, but they were asking thoughts on that. I think that that's insane. I love the idea of stuff like that, like this insanely rare collector's item that you can get, and then you could be not rich because $1 million in 2023, you're not rich, but like you are definitely well off, right? You're very well off. Yeah. Depending on your age, you can't live the rest of your life off of it unless you're super frugal. I know Kenny could.
I could, bro. $1 million. Fraser said you're not rich, and I just think that just shows how expensive Fraser's jeans are. Because $1 million, Kenny is fucking rich.
Yeah, that's also true. Austin said Magic players have way bigger pockets, clearly, because Yu-Gi-Oh had a 1/1 and it didn't sell for nearly as much. Yeah, Tyler the Great Warrior, I believe, is our most expensive card.
Yeah, Magic's also got like much more of a cultural staying in America specifically.
Also, Tyler the Great Warrior, his story is amazing, but like that's not the one ring to rule them all. All right.
Right.
Yeah, that is true. It's not the one ring to rule them all. But yeah, that is insane though. $1 million card. I don't know what it actually sold for, Danny. If you know, you can put it in the chat. But I think that it was at least $1 million. So when he said Fraser's jeans, he meant J-E. Because I have some jeans that are like,
yeah, hold on. I meant the jeans that you buy, and I didn't mean, what the fuck? I didn't mean that Fraser was jean splicing or some shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, it could be my genes, though, right? It could be my actual genetically. I have expensive genes. My mom is a very expensive person. That's probably why I have it too. But I like expensive things. I can't help it. All right. So, you wanted to go back to K-pop a little bit, Kenny. I'll give you this
I just know that we talked a little bit about how, like, for example, I guess I want to ask. I guess you didn't even get into K-pop music until the RuneScape thing, right? Because you said you did it ironically.
Yeah.
And
It was like
I
listened
can
to a little
tell.
bit,
Yeah,
but it was like
big.
not a thing.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Wait, what were you saying? Like,
oh no, my bad. Yeah, I was just like talking over you a bit. I fucked up. Anyway, so you started as it being ironic, and then I guess at some point you were like, I guess I'll listen to Jun Young's song, and you put it on, and then apparently you can give like a top 5 list of the most technically sound K-pop artists that ever lived, or something like that.
I've listened to quite a bit in my time. The majority of what I listen to music wise is like metal.
Whoa, drastically different.
Yeah, very. Like progressive metal, like Carnival and like Dream Theater and stuff. Black metal.
I love Dream Theater. Oh, I love Dream Theater, bro. That is one of my absolute favorite groups, easily.
That's the normal stuff that I listen to. Surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
So like the first.
So where did it all go wrong?
Where did it all go? Okay, so I don't play League of Legends, but my friend does, and he would send me League of Legends stuff every once in a while.
Oh.
And they had this group KDA.
Oh my god, that's where it went wrong for everyone.
That's where it went wrong.
That's where it went wrong for everyone. KDA was so fucking popular. All right, go ahead.
And so I get into that, and then so the
just fuck me right.
What are we saying?
I kept on saying "kill deaf assholes" for KDA, and no one entertained me. Like
I was just ignoring.
No
I was just going to keep it going. I was going to ignore the
listen, go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry. I'm like trolling at this point.
Okay. So I look up who the voices of Akali and Ari are, and they're part of a Korean group called Idol. And so I start listening to them. I'm like, wow, they're insane. This is actually really good. And the one who voices Ari is Mion, which is the one that's in all my profile pictures and Discord and Billy Book and stuff. So like, wow, this is nuts. And then I hear about this group called Dreamcatcher, which has a lot of like rock inspired traits to it. And I'm like, okay, so we got the K-pop, we got 7 pretty girls, and we got rock music behind it. This is obviously the optimal combination. So between Idol and Dreamcatcher, and then like I just started listening to more and more, and like cause like it would keep coming to my YouTube recommendations, like new groups that I'd never heard of, and I'll start listening to them. Like no wonder people like this stuff. This is better than American pop music. This is actually like, and someone asked me why I like K-pop. I was like, listen, man, you like regular pop music, right? He was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so what's better than 1 pretty girl? 13 pretty girls. Okay, so I'm like, okay, so this is obviously the superior music genre to the American music that your plebeian palate just like. But it started off pretty ironic, and then it's just a thing now. And
so I think you've already answered this question, because this is funny, but I think you've already answered it. Do you listen to any boy K-pop group?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And no one does. No, at least no Americans do. For some, well, no, that's not true, because that one group, I don't know their name. You probably know. I forget they're somehow they're absurd.
Blackpink?
No. It's a boy K-pop group that is gigantic. BTS. They're gigantic in America. Yeah. Like,
I like a few of their songs actually. Every once in a while, one comes on the radio. I'm like, yeah, it sounds pretty decent. Like, I don't know why they plays on American radio, but I'm like, yeah.
I think they're currently in the military or something like that.
Yeah, they got drafted.
Everyone has a mandatory. You have to serve in the military in Korea. I heard. I don't know if that's true.
No, it is true, because I remember when I was really into breakdancing. For anybody that doesn't know, between the ages of like 15 and 23, I used to breakdance. And at that time, there was a really big, and I'm sure there still is, there's a really big Korean scene in breakdancing. And there was this guy named Hong Ten. He was a really big South Korean breakdancer, and he was kind of like on top of the world for one point. Like, he's really big. He was in like some of the best groups. And then a lot of people were getting like sad and talking about it, because he had to basically put his career on hold as a breakdancer because he had to go serve in the military. And then that's when I found out that like in South Korea, at least for all males, I'm assuming it's not true for females, but maybe that changed. I don't know. All males have a mandatory military service they have to serve when they reach a certain age in South Korea.
I couldn't do it. I am not military guy.
I'd be defecting. You gotta.
Yeah, it would be so bad if I was forced into military. I mean, I say that now. I don't know how bad or whatever it actually is, but my perception of it is not good. Like just being yelled at over and over and over again.
Yeah, like that's kind of the thing, like the whole boot camp type of thing. Like most times, like it's just like you're in times of peace when it happens. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah,
so,
I'm not worried about. I'm literally not going to war. So that's
yeah. It's like
it's not.
it's not even like
That's not even on the table.
Just, yeah, it's just like
I wasn't even talking about. I wasn't even talking about fighting.
Yeah,
I was talking about literally just being in the military. Like that.
Yeah, for sure.
You start talking about war, you got me fucked up.
Me all the way fucked up.
You got me all the way fucked up.
You want to know how you want to see how fast I can lose a foot? You want to see how fast I can lose a foot?
First of all, I have asthma, thankfully. It's not all bad.
I don't think honestly,
they care
in Korea,
being born with bad lungs is not all that bad. Somebody said wiggle your finger. Being born with bad lungs is not actually all that bad because you can't serve in the military, from what I understand. Like I'm too sickly to serve in the military. And honestly, I'm not mad at it because I'm low key. I'm not really that sickly, but like on paper, I'm virtually dying. Like I got asthma. I got eczema, which is like bad skin or like dry skin or whatever. Let me think. Oh, I got bad allergies. I have terrible allergies, so I'm always like blowing my nose and stuff. So yeah, they wouldn't want me anyway. Like I would not.
Yeah,
I would give our position away because I'm always sniffling.
That's awesome. Also, they'd be able to. Oh my god, they'd be able to find the American base camp because they would just follow a trail of tissues that Fraser leaves everywhere. They just follow him home.
He's speaking from actual experience right now.
They would just follow his ass home.
Asthma Gang Unite. Yeah, Quest, you got that inhaler on you?
But
y'all remember the iconic inhaler from Peter Chang, Me versus Peter? Y'all remember that, right?
Yeah. K-pop, and not even just K-pop, but other music in general. I got into listening to like music where there's lyrics that I don't understand. Just through anime.
That anime, and I was gonna say anime.
Like there's so many anime openings where I'm like, oh my god, this song's fucking amazing. Like Death Note openings or Fire Force opening or Demon Slayer has some good openings. My Hero has a ton of good openings, and we can go on Naruto, One Piece, whatever. There's great fucking openings, and that I think opened the door. That even opened the door to my musical palette. Because when I was really young, I was basically like rap or nothing. Like I didn't like rock. I didn't like any genre of music that wasn't just straight up rap when I was really young. But at one point, I realized like, oh, I'm an asshole because there's all these anime openings that are just like rock music, like blatantly rock music. It's just a Japanese guy singing that I really like, that sound really good, and that opened my palette up to realize I'm like, oh, there's other just genres of music that I do like. I'm just being stupid. And that goes into a bunch of other things. I don't know a shit ton about K-pop. You probably know more than me. But my favorite group for anybody that's interested is Mamamoo. I think they're awesome.
I like them.
They have some really good songs. Yeah, they're really cool. But I'm not as invested. And let me ask you this. Are you able to listen to full albums? I'm not a full album guy. There's songs from these groups that I like. And there's songs I like. I have a K-pop playlist on my YouTube Music. But I can't listen, like even for groups I like, I can't put on an album and just listen to all the songs.
I mean, my favorite genre of music is progressive metal. Like I have songs that are album length on their own. Like I'm a full album guy.
Yeah, I'm a full album guy for like different kind of music, like certain raps albums, especially if the rap album has an entire theme and a story being told to it. Like I was obsessed with The Weeknd Dawn FM. I was obsessed with that fucking album, and I was able to listen to it front to back over and over.
It's also a story, though. I think that's a bit different.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if the album has a story and like it goes somewhere, listening to the full album, I can really get into. But I can't do that for just other random albums.
Yeah, same. It's really hard. But okay, so it is 1:12, and what I'm thinking is we should wrap this one up. This can be a full episode that'll be released on the podcast once I edit the audio and all that stuff. But then we definitely have to have Cam back to continue this conversation because clearly we have a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of questions in chat and stuff like that. There's no this can go on until 5 p.m. and Cam has somewhere to be. So because of that, we scheduled this to start at 11 a.m. and it's now like 1:13 or whatever. But yeah, we're definitely going to have you back, Cam. I mean, we're on the same team. We talk all the time. But this was a pleasure having you, man. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
man. Whenever you want to do a second run of this or whatever,
we'll do it without the live stream, so that way if we have any technical issues, we don't have to be broadcast in front of the world. We can just work it out internally.
I feel like as much as we play Yu-Gi-Oh, we barely even scratched the surface. I mean, it's all we talked about for the first hour. But it's still something. It feels like we barely.
Yeah,
I agree.
I also want to. You mentioned earlier that you got into Yu-Gi-Oh through the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. So do you watch anime in general or no?
Not. I don't watch any TV anymore in general. Yeah, it's just the last anime I watched was like God. When did Blue Exorcist come out? That was
a while ago.
Ages ago. Yeah, straight up.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, that was the last anime that I watched. It's like got to be like what, 8 years or something.
Yeah,
a long ass time.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, we'll dig up some things to talk about in the next one, and easily you guys can rant about 700 different Yu-Gi-Oh.
All right, so before we get out of here, I got to do my Patreon. Got to give a shout out to everybody because this is technically a podcast episode. So thank you for everyone who is subscribed to the IMNerd podcast Patreon. If you are not, please check it out. You can show support with as little as $3 for the lowest tier, and then we have other tiers with all types of perks. One of them includes dueling me. No matter win or loss, it will be posted on YouTube. You can also join the actual IMNerd podcast and do an episode like we just did. You saw recorded with Cam. We have that as an option as well. And we have other stuff like exclusive episodes that drop every single month that are only on Patreon. So again, check all of that stuff out on IMNerdpodcast/Patreon or Patreon/IMNerdpodcast rather. But yeah, next I want to give a shout out to, we have, what's happening?
Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Connie, Ronathan, Yes I'm Real, Leon, Stardust Dragon Assault Mode gave me PTSD. These are some wild names, by the way. Xavier, Hylian, Dimitri Barnes, Meow, Dominique Roberts, Giovanni Avalos, Alex Flamer, Andre Reynolds, Dan Vrabel, First to Home, S. Akuma, Mitchell Nouse, Midwest Gaming, William Shapiro, Dimitri Safirdas, Vince Marquette, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Roz Weiss, Nick Stango, Hanto, our two-time national champion. Kachan is a poorly written character. Sarah Maria, Sunny Top Cut Podcast, Alex Ahern, Philip Campa, Chris Lynn, Cookie 159, Edison Club, Kyle Batelho, Brandon Moore, Sugal, Nick, Mr. Soltai, Nafa, Corey Fowler, Omar Ramos, Elijah Barfoth, and then
A True Hero, Tyler Tadeo, Majora X, Anthony, Volvi's Other Hand, Big Stinky, Crunchwrap, Duty Booty, Adam Corey, Enraged Peacock, Leo Bacani, Janitor 215, Metal Gear Volvi 2, Sons of Ronathan.
Jesus. Metal Gear Volvi 2, Sons of Ronathan is unhinged.
Thomas Rude, Joshua, and Steve Rogers 760, our newest Patreon member.
Special
and also,
shout out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I was going to say special shout out to Steve Rogers and Joshua Carroll being our newest two patrons. Steve Rogers is at the highest possible tier, the optional boss tier, which means that we will be recording an episode together in July. So, look out for that. He did the optional boss thing. So big shout out to Steve Rogers. Thank you so much for the support. And Kenny, what did you want to say?
I was going to say what you just said about Steve Rogers.
Okay. Well, yeah, I also love that his actual fucking name is Steve Rogers, which is the name of Captain America for those who don't know. So that's definitely going to be something we talk about in the episode with him. But he's also a Yu-Gi-Oh player and somebody who's played like a lot of other games and has a lot of unique life experiences. I talked to him a bit before he subscribed to the Patreon, and yeah, I think that's going to be a fire episode. So definitely check that out once it drops. But this one with Cam, if you didn't hear it here live, then you're going to get to listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everything else when it comes out this week. And yeah, he said, I remember when the Patreon shoutouts only took like 10 seconds. Yeah, there's a lot of people now.
Listen,
there's
make
a
it
lot
longer.
Of people.
Make it
longer. Help us out. Go to Patreon and join it. Also, you get access to our Discord server. I'm thinking about this too. So Cam, if you want to go, we can let you go now, so that way you can get ready, because I know you have to meet Silchus and everything.
Doing some Nats testing with teammates.
Yes, so definitely thank you so much again for coming on. Me and Kenny are going to continue this. I also need to get food. I'm so goddamn hungry. Yeah. And then we're going to watch some of this RBET stuff. But so Cam, thank you again.
Thank you.
And yeah, so I think I'm going to switch my view. Right. If you want to.